It's time to say goodbye to hold music and say hello to fast customer support with Service Cloud. With trusted AI and data working together, you can skip long wait times and deliver efficient, personalized service right away, all while keeping support costs low and more customers happy. Reimagine your customer support with the #1 AI CRM for service. Learn what's possible at salesforce.com/products/service.
Age of Radio.
My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. You are listening to Age of Jeremy. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm the co-founder of Age of Radio and 3T Fitness, and, well, other businesses that I am working on. This podcast is about everything that I learn and the trials and tribulations it took to learn them. I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for coming in and listening to the Age of Jeremy. If this is your first time on the podcast, I just want to remind you to do a few things. One, if you could rate this podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. Second, if you could go ahead and follow me on TikTok at Age of Jeremy. Also follow me on Twitter at Age of Jeremy Q. And then if you could also follow me on Instagram at Age of Jeremy, it would be much appreciated. If you could also follow Age of Radio on Age of Radioverse on Instagram and on Twitter, Age of Radio. We're really trying to build our community. We have a good amount of community, people in the community now, but we're always wanting to get more people involved in the art of podcasting or in, just some of the other topics that we talk about in podcasting. There's always something that is going on in podcasting because it's very vast, and we would love for you to be a part of our community and also on the Age of Jeremy community, where we talk about business, where we talk about finance, we talk about the adventures that I have building my businesses that I own. I am a co-owner of the very fast growing 3T Fitness with Coach JV, and I'm also a business owner because I own Age of Radio and also this Age of Jeremy brand. So we definitely want to get you involved with all of that, and we thank you so much for being here on this podcast. So to kind of get started, this week has been a little bit crazy. Want to talk a little bit about some of the changes in the stock market. Stock market had a really good week in November. I don't remember what the full percentage was for the Dow Jones because I am actually more impressed or excited with the fact that BlackBerry, yeah, that's right, BlackBerry. I don't know if you remember the BlackBerry. They had the little phone with a little roller on it. They've been one of my favorite companies for years, not because of the phones, because of their security. But BlackBerry at a high today on December 1st, which is when this is being recorded, hit $9.64. Their shares hit $9.64. That was the largest it's been, I want to say, I think it's like 15 years. That's the highest that it's been. And the reason being is because of it joined forces with Amazon Web Services or Amazon AWS. And so BlackBerry hit 964 today with the news that they're partnering with Amazon, and then it settled off at $7 before it went into hours after trading. I think after hours trading. The after hours dollar amount I saw was 7 something. I think it started to kick back up, but it essentially was around $7. Now, a lot of people don't know this about BlackBerry, but BlackBerry is actually a leader in security. One of the businesses that I've worked for in the past, we actually use BlackBerry security. So essentially there's different apps that kind of, like, for instance, their BlackBerry chat, it actually connects with like Skype, and it links up with Skype or with Microsoft Teams, and it keeps those messages much more secure. It also does that with the email client that it has. So in fact, I have a funny story. I had a gentleman, one of the clients that I had, when you send a email via the BlackBerry services, he actually got the email, and on the bottom of the email, it says, this was someone with a BlackBerry phone, and he reached out to me. He's like, "Oh my gosh, you still use a BlackBerry? I miss my BlackBerry so much," because he liked having the keyboard and the ball. And I had to explain to him, no, it's just this app that we use because Amazon's like the leader in security. And so I think that that's pretty interesting as far as BlackBerry being a leader in the security piece of it. especially because a lot of people don't even think that BlackBerry is still around, but it's still going strong. And I've been an advocate for that piece of BlackBerry for a long time. I think they still make phones. I know that they moved over to Google. But the reason why this is really impressive or important is because of why they actually partnered with Amazon. They partnered with Amazon for a product that they're trying to come out with called BlackBerry Ivy. And BlackBerry, so this is from the press release that Amazon has. So BlackBerry Ivy addresses a critical data access, collection, and management problem in the automotive industry. So the way that Amazon AWS or the Amazon post or press release has it is that modern cars and trucks are built with thousands of parts from many different suppliers, with each vehicle model comprising a unique set of proprietary hardware and software components. So these components, which include an increasing variety of vehicle sensors, produce data in unique and specialized formats. The highly specific skills required to interact with the data, as well as the challenges of accessing it from within contained vehicle subsystems, limit developers' abilities to innovate quickly and bring new solutions to market. So BlackBerry Ivy will solve for these challenges by applying machine learning to the data to generate predictive insights and inferences, making it possible for automakers to offer in-vehicle experiences that are highly personalized and able to take action based on those insights. And so BlackBerry Ivy will support multiple vehicle operating systems and multi-cloud deployments in order to ensure compatibility across vehicle models and brands. And so essentially, BlackBerry is partnering with Amazon Web Services, probably for some of the data piece of it, also for the development piece of it, to get BlackBerry Ivy going for automakers to utilize their machine learning and cloud data points and the cloud data that they will build inside of the software that's being utilized, essentially. And so I think that this is fantastic. I imagine that BlackBerry or that Amazon wants to partner with this, mainly because of the machine learning piece that's going along with it. And also it's going to help with the autonomous I'm assuming it's going to help with the autonomous automobiles for the future and for the data that's inside of them. So I feel that it's going to be a place where so one part of the AWS and then the press release that it talks about that BlackBerry Ivy could leverage vehicle data to recognize driver behavior and hazardous conditions such as icy roads or heavy traffic, and then recommend that a driver enable relevant vehicle safety features such as traction control, lane keeping assist, or adaptive cruise control. Ivy could then promote automakers with feedback on how and when those safety features are used, allowing them to make targeted investments to improve vehicle performance. Additionally, drivers of electric vehicles could choose to share their car's battery information with third-party charging networks to proactively reserve a charging connector and tailor charging time according to the driver's current location and travel plans. So it's a way for us to get better information about what's taking place for the driver, so that the automakers can make better assessments of how to make the vehicles better in the future. So I think for that part, it's really great. I'm not 100% sure why it's beneficial for Amazon, unless they're going to go into the automaking business. You never know. They tried to make a phone in the past, or if it's going to help, or if they want to utilize it in their vehicles for their drivers, and they're going for whatever their plans are for their distribution piece. I'm assuming it has something to do with that, in my opinion. But as far as BlackBerry, I think BlackBerry's, in my opinion, I've multiple times thought about purchasing it. I'm glad to see that they are continuing to innovate, and they're trying to take what they're good at, right? So they're good at the security piece, they're good at the machine learning piece, or the software building piece, and they're going to partner with someone that's probably good with the machine learning piece, and use those forces to create a new product. So the fact that they're able to diversify this revenue, probably to sell this software to automakers, I think that that's fantastic for BlackBerry. And I would say, if you were in, again, I'm not a financial advisor, consult a financial advisor and do your own research. But I think that it's definitely a buy. I also, for the most part, think Amazon's a buy. Amazon's like the new Costco or the new Walmart, that should be in everybody's portfolios. So I think that Amazon still has a lot of growth opportunity. And I think think that BlackBerry obviously has a lot of growth opportunity. I think that the stigma behind BlackBerry is that it's this failed phone manufacturer, but they have a lot of other stuff going for it. And I think that that's really, really beneficial. So definitely check that out. You can go read about it on Amazon, Amazon and BlackBerry Ivy, and I'll put a press release in the notes so you can go and research it. But definitely, I'm definitely thinking about adding BlackBerry just to my portfolio, not to my retirement portfolio. Amazon definitely is a good place for to be in your retirement portfolio, just like Costco and Walmart. But anyways, to the next big news that's happened today is freaking Salesforce finally made a decision to acquire Slack, and it looks like they put a dollar amount on it. So Salesforce is going to acquire Slack for $28 billion. And so I think that this is a good, I think that this is a really smart move, in my opinion, for Salesforce. We use HubSpot, which is a fantastic CRM tool. Salesforce is also a fantastic CRM tool, and so is Dynamics 365. I think this is something that's going to help Salesforce compete with Microsoft. So if you don't know what Salesforce is, it's an American cloud-based software company based out of San Francisco, California, and it provides customer relation management services and also sells complementary suite of enterprise applications focused on customer service, marketing automation, analytics, and application development. Very popular. A company that I believe they purchased was Tableau software, and they also own Quip. And so essentially what they're doing is they're trying to create a grouping of team or enterprise, and possibly even small business and enterprise, like productivity and workflow applications. So that's one of the reasons why I think the Slack this is really good. It's something. So if you don't know what Slack is essentially, maybe you've heard of Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams, I think, does a little bit more as far as how Microsoft is advertising Teams. But essentially, Slack is a work app that allows team members to communicate with each other within their company. So you can like get together and talk to people. It allows you to work with each other. I've never personally used Slack because I've always used Teams, but I hear it's a great product. I know a lot of companies like Vox uses Slack. Here, let me look at this real quick. So I just want to see, because I know Teams allows you to create like meeting spaces. So Slack Teams allows communities, groups, or teams to join a workspace. So it creates a virtual workspace just like Microsoft Teams does. So I think that this is a good place for Salesforce to go in and buy Slack, and it helps them compete with companies like Microsoft when it comes to the types of products that they're rolling out to enterprise and meeting enterprise solutions. So I think Slack. So this would be, I think Salesforce is still a good buy right now. I think they're doing a lot of great moves, and we'll talk a little bit more about buying or building your own services or software. But I think this is a good move for Salesforce. This is something they've talked about for a while now, that I've kept my eye on. I haven't bought any Salesforce specifically prior to this, but I think that Salesforce is doing a lot of good stuff when it comes to how they're running the business and what they're strategizing on putting themselves in a position to meet all enterprise workflow management within a company, right? So like they have their Salesforce, which allows for their CRM. They help with the analytics with the Tableau. We use all of this in one of the companies that I currently, the bank that I currently work for. And so we utilize a lot of this software with a lot of other software, but we utilize the software, some of the products from Salesforce, and it works really, really good. I think that I've never used Salesforce specifically, like their CRM. Like I said, I've used Dynamics 365 and I've used HubSpot. But I think this is a great place for Salesforce. This is a great acquisition for Salesforce. I think they have a lot of upside growth potential for their stock. I don't necessarily think it would be the best stock for maybe retirement, but if it's something that you want to go and purchase so that you can, gain, you can ride the appreciation of the stock itself, I think that that's a great place to be. So we're going to take a quick We're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we're going to talk about a show that's been out for about a month, a podcast show, but I didn't know that it had come out. So I kind of want to bring your attention to it.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.
All right, welcome back. Hope you heard some good advertisements. I want to talk about Dr. Death. I don't know if you have had a chance to listen to season 1. It is a Wondery podcast. Wondery is a podcast network that makes amazing audio experiences, just to end with that. They make go and check them out, Wondery.com. Wondery has a lot of great shows. Personally, one of my favorites from them is Dr. Death. The very first, so essentially it's the host that does it. Her name's Laura Beale, I believe it is. And she has more than 20 years of experience in health and science writing. In 2014, she received the top medical journalism award from the American Society of Journalists and Authors. And so Season 1 is about a gentleman named Dr. Christopher Dunch. He was a neurosurgeon who had egotistical or super confident, who was super confident. And he claimed he was the best brain surgeon in Dallas, or neurosurgeon. And if you had back pain and had tried everything else, Dr. Dunch could give you spine surgery that would take your pain away. But soon after you would have that surgery, his patients started to experience complications. And all they had to protect them was a system that was ill-equipped to stop this madness, right? And so Laura dives in, that was her name, right? Laura dives into this world to find out about what happened with Christopher Dunch, why this happened, what's wrong with our health, this portion of the medical system. And it's just a fantastic podcast. And I just found out that they released Dr. Death season 2 in October. And I believe it was in the end of October, beginning of November. And Dr. Death season 2 is essentially, I'm going to let you listen to this clip right now, and then we'll kind of discuss it.
Imagine you're walking into a busy hospital. You take a moment to relax, to try to forget about the reason you're there. Chemo. You're getting treated for cancer. But at least Dr. Fata is there to take care of you.
His education and experience is unparalleled, second to none.
A nurse takes you to the last open seat in the house. You sit back and take a deep breath as the drugs begin to drip into your veins.
But I remember looking in that infusion suite and thinking about how these patients have no idea what's happening to them.
What you don't know is that today is the last day you'll ever sit in this chair.
The doctor that I trusted my life with would forever change my view of the word doctor, who takes an oath to do no harm.
This is a story of over 500 patients who put their trust in a prominent oncologist.
He would look them in the eye and lie to them and say, "You have cancer."
And a system that enabled him to hurt people for nearly a decade.
I did encourage my mom to endure it. I did. But I did it for her to live, not for her to die.
I'm your host, Laura Beale, and this is Dr. Death, Season 2.
He's a psychopath. I mean, what else is there to say?
So I myself, I haven't listened to Dr. Death season 2. I have a friend who's listened to it, and it's something that I want to binge this week or as soon as, well, I guess you can't binge it because they release them weekly unless all of it's out. I think he said all of it's completed by now. I'm not sure. But I would definitely check it out. What it's about is just super, super, super sad. And I think that I don't know. I've heard that it's a really rough story, and I think you really definitely need to check it out. The other interesting thing that I found out about this is a lot of these podcasts, as a way to diversify the revenue, they make TV shows. So like Gimlet Media, they had The Homecoming, which was a television show about their podcast Homecoming with, I think in the show it was Julia Roberts. I can't remember if she played the part in the podcast or not. But I know that a lot of them are diversifying into television. And I believe Dr. Death TV series is coming out. And I think Alec Baldwin is playing Christopher Dunch. So I would definitely listen to Dr. Death season 1 and 2, and then go ahead and check out the television series. I mean, we're gonna have so much stuff coming out with podcasts here into the future. If you have the backing and the money or the revenue, it would be cool to make some of our podcasts into shows. Even if they're just retelling of some of the stories, or the way that some of our true crime audience tells the stories, or even just to have, talk shows with people that, like Breakdown from the Couch, maybe like a web series or YouTube series, where it's a video of them breaking down the movie scene by scene and messing around, or Home Video Hustle, or For Screen and Country, or we have a lot of movie podcasts. And then we also have, comic book podcasts. But what's interesting about the Wondery and the Gimlet audio experiences, as I like to call them, is, there's just really good journalism. There's really good storytelling that takes place in them. And I think that audio is one of the best ways for you to consume content. And I think it's just a great radio itself is just fantastic, and being able to listen to people talk and tell stories and do research and tell the stories through research, and being able to listen to it everywhere. Audio is just fantastic. But definitely check out Wondery. They have a lot of other great podcasts that you should definitely check out. But definitely check out Dr. Death. I don't have so there's a couple of ways that you can get money, right? You can buy debt. You can get debt. So if you're a small business owner, so hopefully we have some small business owners that are listening. If you're a small business owner, you can get debt in a few ways. You can issue bonds, you can go and borrow money, or you can sell shares of your company in the form of equity to raise money. I do not like, and this is probably going to be one of my downfalls, so I encourage you to sit long and hard about what it is that you're trying to accomplish with your business. If I were to sell equity in my company, it would be in the form of going public. Now, the NASDAQ has requirements for you to meet, and I'm really focusing on meeting those for the head company that owns Age of Radio, October Revolution Corporation, or October Rev Corp, or ORC, as I like it, because I would like the ticker symbol to be ORC. That could be out there. I haven't really looked too much into it. Who knows? We may even change the corporation name in the future. It has a long story, and one day maybe we'll dive deep into it in a podcast. But I want to position ORC to meet the requirements to go public in case we need to raise capital to grow the business. Okay. And so but right now I do not want to give any type of ownership. The gentleman that I talked to on one of the last podcasts, his name was Curtis Ray. He has a great financial system. In fact, I think he was just recently on the Jenny McCarthy show on Sirius XM radio. He has a great financial system, a great financial company, Suncor. Not my cup of tea, but I'm not going to discourage someone from learning about it and seeing if it makes sense for them. Just like he's not my cup of tea. I am obviously, if you've listened to me in the past, I'm very liberal. I am very, I enjoy, thought-provoking conversations. I enjoy researching, and I enjoy helping. I don't want to say helping, because he definitely, a lot of people enjoy helping people. But I feel that like teaching people about, actual finance or the bare bones about fundamental investing or technical analysis with the investing and how you can build strong portfolios, how you can invest, why real estate might be good, why real estate might be bad. I just want to do a lot more education for people so they don't let people take advantage of them. And I'm not saying that anybody's trying to take advantage of any of the people that I know are trying to take advantage of you. I'm just saying that I want people to be, I want people to learn. I want people to be willing to learn and to research and do their own thing. Okay. But because of my interactions with people that have owned companies in my life or people that have invested in my companies, I don't like the control aspect of it. 3T Fitness is thriving. It's doing great, mainly because of John's hard work ethic, his ingenuity. If anything that I've done, I've just given good guidance. I've kept the books as straight as I can. We've done some keep the financial analysis and the books under control. I don't like the control of the company. I don't want my ideas to be exploited. And that might be something that's going to be my downfall. I'm not sure. I don't think it is. But if you need to raise money, equity is really a good way to raise that money. But just think about what you're giving up when you do that. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because we need an app. And I can build an app. I don't have any doubts in my mind about it. I need time. I need to work at it. I need to spend time investing in it. But I'm running into a problem because there's all of these things that are going on, especially because Age of Radio is getting so many shows a week now. If Priscilla, our podcast network manager, if I didn't have her, and if I didn't have Joey, our sales development officer, and I didn't have Ruthie, and I didn't have Diane, who's my mom, if I didn't have her involved with it, it would just be really difficult to manage all of this because of how fast the shows are coming on. I need to make an app. And so what I did is, because learning has to be part of your world, right? And so I signed up to learn Java so that it'll help me. I learn really good in that education setting because I'm an advocate for community colleges. I'm an advocate for that long secondary education piece of it, or higher education, or whatever we want to call it. In fact, secondary education might be what we consider high school. But anyway, so just disregard that. But there's nothing wrong. I feel that when you need to get that type of education, then you need to be able to put in that work. Now, I'm good at setting time aside and trying to read on it, but there's some concepts that I don't get or I have questions. And I think having a instructor teach it and what you would put a software engineer through might be very, very beneficial. Now, it's not very expensive to go to the community college, so I decided to do that. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is because the alternative is to get enough money to buy an app, create someone to build that app, or I could actually buy an app that already exists. And it would be fantastic if I had the money to buy the app that already exists. I already know which one I would buy. If I had the money to do it, I would buy Breaker. Breaker.audio is one of the best podcast apps. I don't know why I don't use it for all of my podcasting. In fact, I think having this conversation, I think I'm just going to go and do Breaker. Everything that I've used Breaker on, it's been fantastic. Not all podcasts are on it. That's one of the problems that I have with it. A lot of these apps, they use the Apple API. So when you put your app on Apple, it pushes out to all these other podcast apps, and Breaker is one of them. Now, So if I had the money, I would go and try to buy Breaker. I think it's a great play. It allows us to open up a different revenue stream. It allows us to have the app already created, and we don't have to do much after that. We just have to learn how it works, keep their workforce in play, and then figure out how to innovate on top of that, or make it better, or to compete against the other podcast apps. That'd be the number one thing that I would do if I had money. Or Luminary doesn't I don't know if Luminary is making any money. Last time I saw, Luminary was subscribing for like $2.99 for like a year or something like that. I don't know. I don't think people want to pay for podcasts unless it's someone that they really, really love, or there's another benefit to it, like with Spotify. So if I were Spotify buying Joe Rogan is fantastic. Spotify buying Kim Kardashian is fantastic, because then it forces people get something else besides just that podcast. Not a lot of people, in my opinion, are just going to go and subscribe to an app for that podcast. And if I was going to subscribe to something, I'm a huge advocate for Slate. I would support Slate and get all of their shows ad free and all their extra content. But if you can't buy it, then you need to build it. And so that's what I'm really been focusing on. And you as a business owner, you have to think about that, about how you're growing your business and what are the things that you should be building or buying to expand your business, because that buying could be other businesses. It's very weird me talking to business owners all day long. And these are business owners that make millions and millions of dollars a year, and they don't have a long-term strategy. Like, they don't have a long term of what it is that they're saving for their business, what it is that they're going after. Because a lot of small business owners, and the problem with small business owners is they think in the moment. B, they're just focusing on, not having to answer to someone, working every day at their own business, saving the money, and just taking care of their family and growing the business in that way. But they don't have like a strong like strategy, right? So when I build out my plan for Age of Radio, it's like at least 20 years down the line. I know exactly what we're going to be doing. I know what we're going to be focusing on, and it helps me stay on track and become obsessed. And it's going to help you stay on track and become obsessed. Because the number one thing that I want to do is I want to build an app. And so, I'm not going to explain everything that I'm going to do in the app on this podcast, just because, I don't want people to take some of my ideas. But even if you did take the ideas, I have one of the best communities. The community that we've created with Age of Radio, the people that follow us, the people that enjoy Age of Radio, seeing Age of Radio grow. We have such a strong community that even if we had people that came and mimicked us, I don't think people would leave. I think our hosts enjoy being here. I think we're fair to the hosts. We don't charge them anything. They make money. Hopefully they can make more money here in the future. There's lots of things that we need to do, but I think that we're in a pretty good or strong place. But again, I'm not going to, say everything that I'm going to do within this app, but I know every piece of when I'm moving my business into either a new build, I need to build something or I need to buy something. Right. And I'm saving for those things that I need to buy, and I'm making those decisions on the things that I want to build. And that is something that you need to think about as well. Like, what is it that is your 10-year, 20-year, 25, 30-year long-term plan? And it's funny because my wife, she always says that I'm always thinking in the future. I'm not in the moment. And that's very true. But I think and that's something that I need to work on. But I feel that when it comes to this business, you need to have a long-term plan. That's one of the things that I admire Jeff Bezos for, even though I'm not a huge... There's things that I like and dislike about Amazon, but one of the things that I admire Jeff Bezos for is he's always like, yeah, the earnings that we're getting right now, these were earnings that we had forecasted 10, 15 years ago, right? That's how far ahead they are. And that's what's kept them in front of everybody. And that's something that you need to do with your business. And in my opinion, that's the reason why the businesses fail. When I spend some time on TikTok, because, social media is really important to our businesses and our brands, is that you always have these people, well, if you can't cover your taxes, then you shouldn't have a business. Or if you can't, look for minimum wage to go up, then you shouldn't have a business. And I think a lot of that's true because a lot of people don't plan. A lot of businesses don't even do any tax planning. And that is terrible. You should be meeting with a CPA or an accountant. The CPA part's irrelevant in my opinion. A CPA is just someone who can attest to attest to the accuracy of publicly traded company statements. And so So you could find an enrolled agent, you could find a financial advisor. They can help you with a tax plan for your business, right? And that's why it's important. It's a plan. It's looking into the future, thinking about what's going to happen and planning for it, right? Because there's things that are going to be out of your control. You need to be far ahead in the future about everything that's going on with your expenses rising, where your marketing budgeting is going, how you're doing your marketing budgeting, when you're going to push out more marketing, when you want to spend your marketing dollars, when you want to have people hired, right? These are all things that you need to know and learn. And learning that is a place where you can go and get some education on, like a community college, or you could go to a state, like a public university or private university, or whatever the case is, or just go buy a course online. And so that's one of the stages that I'm in right now, is that we need to build this app because it's imperative to the growth of Age of Radio. It's imperative to the growth of Age of Radio Originals. It's imperative to start out competing some of our competitors. It's to put us in a good technical space, right? So like when you're looking at I think the future is always software, right? Bill Gates thought the future was software back in 1970, whatever. I still think the future is software. And I also think that the future of hardware is in the robotics and with how we're going to become an interplanetary species, right? And those are the things that I want to position my family for. And those are the things that I want to position my workers for, so that I can take advantage of those opportunities as they arise, because those skill sets are going to be important, right? So like if I can get, my niece Ariana to go and learn computer programming, that's a good skill. Or to get Evelyn or Oscar or my children, or, our workers like Joey, if I can set them up to what kind of business we're going to be in the future, then it's going to be easier to take advantage, because there's lots of different software that we can make that'll be beneficial, right? So when people always ask me, well, why did you do the podcasting? Because one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with is getting people to stop referring to it as a podcast network. Yes, when I did it, it was a podcast network, and I wish that I had. Even Age of Radio is a fantastic name. I love Age of Radio. I love the brand. I love the image. It's an iconic image. I think it's going to be a world-renowned, a company. We have hosts now that are in Canada. And so I think that we're going to be a worldwide company, but everybody refers to it as a podcast network. We're a media company that has a podcast arm because we're going to deep dive into other things. Same way that I actually feel it's funny that I brought the Salesforce up, or that I am thinking of doing this podcast because of the Salesforce piece. But when I think of Salesforce, I think of like I'm a CRM company, because that's what they were, but they're now branching into like they have their Tableau software, they have Quip, they have Slack, they're going to have Slack now. It's like an enterprise software suite of products that help with enterprise and teamwork and workflow, right? And so, you can't change that name, because that name means something now. And so Age of Radio means something, but, that's why I've always tried to say that radio is like, media or content. And eventually we'll have, part of that plan is buying, right? Buying, not building, buying older radio stations and turning them around, getting them up to par, getting into satellite radio, things of that nature. There's a lot that we're going to be doing that's going to need a lot of money. And I feel that one of the best places, one of the things that are going to help us with that is being able to make our own software. So I encourage you as a small business owner, what are the things that you need to buy in the future? Whether they're asset or what type of assets, because they could be business assets, right? If you go and buy a business, that's an asset. Also think about, the vehicles that you need to buy in the future. What are those expenses going to be? Those assets purchase is going to be, they're going to be over that $2,500 that you can't write off right away, right? You can accelerate that depreciation over $2,500. But if it's under $2,500, just think of those as expenses. But what are the big assets that you're going to need? That you're going to need either to have long-term investment in, right? And that long-term investment could be you building a good workforce to build those things. It could be a good workforce to run those things when you buy them. It could be buying that workforce when you buy that asset, when you buy that business. So those are things that you really, really need to think about. A business plan isn't done when sometimes you can only think 5-6 years down into the future because you're not sure what's going to happen. But every year, every 2 years, every quarter, however often, you need to sit down and relook. You need to sit down and you need to relook at that business plan and say, okay, well, where are we going, right? Where are we going into the future? What is it that we're going to need? How are we going to diversify this revenue? Right. And is it something that we can go and buy? Right. I want to buy, when I branch into my financial services company, I'm not going to I'm going to start, local. Right. But as I expand, I'm going to buy other people's books of business. right? I'm going to go and buy up their shops that are for sale. That's why businesses go for sale. Some businesses, some entrepreneurs, they create businesses and they sell them. They go and buy other businesses and they flip them. I used to know a business owner that he actually had a line of credit, right? And he would buy pharmacies. That's how big that line of credit was. He would buy pharmacies that were doing shitty and he would flip them and sell them. Same way that you would flip a house, right? You need to change your mindset about how business works and about how work works, right? The problem is a lot of people, right? I'm going to touch on this here, for the next couple of minutes, but a lot of people, they think of life as they sometimes change work and business ownership, right? You're either a worker or you're a business owner. For some reason, you can't be both, but a lot of people are both. CEOs are both usually, right? CEOs are and workers and they're the owners of them. You can be an owner in your company and have a career and go and own a small business on the side. And that's so fine, as long as that small business doesn't compete with the other business and the other business is okay with it, right? Those are the problems that I run into. But there are lots of things. There's lots of innovating and interesting things that you can do to make money, but we're so stuck in this mindset that we have that we need this secure job. Or if you have the secure job, that means that you can't spend your spare time making more money. And that's one of the biggest problems. It's always like, I'm going to quit my corporate job. I'm going to jump out of corporate America and I'm going to go start my business. I mean, that's what my partner did. Now he's been through shit, right? But he did it pretty fucking fast. He may not think that. I think he thinks that, but some people may not think that 3 years is fast. I think 3 years is ridiculously fast. It was 2017. It's only 2020. 3 years, you build $1 million company? That's amazing, right? I helped build that while I work also and build other businesses. There is so much more you can be doing. And one of those things that you have to do is have a plan. And I encourage you, like I said, if you have a business, as you plan your business and you plan your growth, what are the assets that you need to buy? What are the pieces that you should be buying? And what are the pieces that you should be building? And I want you to think really hard and strong about that because it's really important, right? And as I go on my journey into software development and software engineering, and this is me taking a risk, right? This is a risk. Software engineering might be stupid in the future. Who knows? Right? But I have a plan for the things that I want to build with it for a couple of reasons. One, I think I can build it better. B, I don't have the money to buy it, right? And then when I have money to buy it, I can look at other things and say, oh, I need to go on a shopping spree because I need to add this to our portfolio, or I need to add this as part of our overall large plan, right? The plan can't be just to be a millionaire or just to be a billionaire. You will end up those things by having businesses and owning businesses. And a lot of small business owners start and they say, I'm doing this because I want to be a millionaire or billionaire. I want to do this because I want to build a stupa and I want to bring Buddhism to my home. And I can do that without money, which I work on. I can do it faster with money. I can build things with money. I want to build Glendale, Arizona into a thriving, stronger community because this is the community where my family's from. I want to make Maryville a stronger community because that's also where my family's from. Our first business, third generation business, Genstar Electric in Glendale, Arizona, still standing today, started in 1964 by my grandpa Dell, right? I think it was 1964. Don't quote me on that. 1964. In fact, you know what? Real quick, I'm going to look it up real quick because if Grandpa hears this and he hears that I didn't put the right years, he'll be like, "Why didn't you put the right year?" And I'll be, I don't know, because I wasn't alive. Genstar. Let's go to the shitty website. Okay, the shitty website doesn't have it. 1964. I thought it was 1964, right? So this is a third generation Genstar Electric, 1964. You know what? I want to build that road of, I believe that we need a better transit system in this city, that we could have better subway system in this city. I want to be a part of those. Now, did you notice in any of that shit that I said, I didn't say I want to be a millionaire. I'm doing this to be a billionaire. I need to, so I don't have to work at the bank that I work for, my regular career, right? That's not the point of it. And you need to get your mind outside of that piece of it. And sometimes that's hard, especially if you don't have resources and you don't have money. Like, I need to do this to be a millionaire. I need to do this to be a millionaire. And you will be a millionaire by doing those things. And that's great. And hopefully you do a lot of good stuff. But for your business to thrive and to succeed and to rebrand itself and to go through all this shit, you have to think longer term. You have to be a long-term thinker in a lot of that. And that's what's going to put you into a better position into the future. And that's what's going to help you reach those goals. And those goals require a lot of money. So you're going to have money with that. And then hopefully you're using that money wisely to get your businesses to move on to different generations. And that's what's also really important to me. You know, there's so many great things that you can do and be doing in the world. And and don't get me wrong, I do a lot of this stuff. I have Dungeons and Dragons night with my friends. I enjoy playing World of Warcraft, right? I'm a straight up geek. I have the new Call of Duty. I haven't played it yet. It's on our new Xbox Series X in the living room. Like, it's cool to have nice shit. Like, don't get me wrong, you have nice shit. I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of that, but I plan those things out and I fucking cherish the time that I get to do those things. Right? I get to play Dungeons and Dragons once a month, maybe once every other month with my friends, maybe once a quarter sometimes. And I cherish that every moment of it. Like, it means everything to me to be able to do that. Like, I think I have, you know, a World of Warcraft character that I play maybe once a week if I'm lucky. But when I have that time and I say, okay, this is the time that I'm going to sit and do this, man, I cherish that shit. There's nothing wrong with doing those things that you enjoy. You don't have to be working all the time, but you have to have a plan and you have to think about it as where you're going and what it is that you want overall. Because in the end, I don't think that the money is money. I have money. Like, I don't have millions and millions of dollars money, but I have money to live a good, comfortable life, the rest of my life, what I'm doing now. But, you know, when I dream and when I think of the things that I want for this great city and this great state and people that are in this state and my home state and my hometown, man, I want so much for it. We could be doing so much better. And I want to be a part of that. I want to do those things. I want Phoenix to have the first Hyperloop. I want us to have our smart city. I want to own a shitload of unincorporated land so I can have a ranch. So I can bring food from our land to our homes. Like, there's so much things. Just think about all of the cool shit that you want to do for the world. That's why you need the money. You don't need the money for a Rolls Royce and you don't need the money for a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. Make the world a much better place with the money that you get from your businesses. All right, so remember, should you build it? Should you buy it? There's a time and a place for a lot of it. One of the things that you need to think about when you think about it is what's the benefit of the learning, right? So I'm in a third generation business, right, with Genstar Electric. Even though I don't own any of it, I put myself in that. So I'm the fourth generation. I'd be the fourth generation if I can purchase it, right? That business, right? It's good at alternators and starters. That's what it's good at. It could learn to diversify its revenue a little bit more. It could go into other avenues involving those alternators and starters because that's what it's good at. What are you good at? How can you make more money with the things that you're good at? And then what could you be learning to add to that, right? So when you're thinking about that, does it make more sense to buy it and learn from it that way and get it going right away and then over the years, get better at it? Because you end up learning both ways, right? So I think that one of the main things that comes down to is cost, right? It's going to be less expensive to learn it, but if I learn it now, right? This is the first generation software engineering. We got into software engineering, the first generation of, age of radio. First generation learned about the software engineering. The second generation got better. They added mechanical engineering to it. They are a family of software engineers. It's part of their life skills. They have their MBAs. They have their, MBA. They all get their MBAs. They have their software engineering. They have their engineering degrees. And then that's something that they're good at, and they build software. They're good business people. And then someone else comes along and says, well, what else could we be good at? We're good at software engineering. How can we do that? Well, maybe we should do software engineering for this other thing. Well, okay, we can do software engineering for this other thing, but we should probably learn this. And then that cycle keeps going, and you learn these skills, right? Because those skills are the things that add the value. And so when you're coming into it, when you're looking at buying the things and you have the resources to buy it, is it better to buy it where you're buying out a company, or maybe even having a third party company make it, right? So you have a third party company make it. Maybe you still have to spend the money for them to maintain it, right? Does that make sense? Or do you keep it all in house? Or maybe you buy a company and you mix it together. It all depends on what it is that you're trying to accomplish in the end and how fast you're trying to do it. I'm not in any specific hurry, right? I'm also not with the software engineering thing, and I'm just using this as an example because it's what I'm dealing with, right? So like with the software engineering thing, if I went and bought an app, I would just have an app, right? I wouldn't have any good skill sets for software engineering. And the people that are there, they maybe they're not part of the purchase. Maybe the purchase is just the app with the assets without any of the engineers. And then I just need to go and get engineers to maintain that. And then the engineers that I buy, they're only good for that specific type of app, or maybe they're good for Android. Or if I learn the engineering and my children learn the engineering and my nieces and nephews learn the engineering, and the people that I also hire are full engineers and they're not specific to that one thing because I needed that one thing, then we can come together and build lots of software. There's another great podcast, Command Line Heroes. And I forgot what the name of the episode is, but these guys, they were truckers, I think, or they were laborers or construction workers, and they all got laid off and lost their jobs. Well, they went and a group of them got together. Maybe they had money. I don't know. But the way that the story sounds in the podcast is a group of them got together, right? And they didn't have money. They all locked themselves in a room. They took a crash course on Java programming and Android development. And now they make software that's what they do as a business. They said, we're going to learn this. We don't have a job. We need to learn a new skill set. They all learned the new skill set, specifically Android development, I think it was. And they learned that new skill set and they started a business where they were making Android apps or applications. Go and listen to it. It's Command Line Heroes. It's a fantastic podcast. It's a branded podcast by Red Hat Linux, which is an IBM company that IBM purchased rather than creating a type of company that's like Red Hat. A lot of the times the big corporations go out and buy. Smaller companies, they sometimes buy, but what they sometimes usually buy, from my experiences, the smaller companies or the middle, lower than middle market companies, maybe like, $1 million to 10 million in revenue. They go and buy other types of businesses that are similar to their business, right? They're not going out and buying another business. Like when in the case with the financial company, like if I had a tax paying company and then I went and bought a bunch of accounting firms, right? And converted them all over to my name. It's like that. So like they're automotive companies, they go and buy another automotive company so they can open up a new shop, right? So that's one of the main reasons why people buy those businesses, because they're already good at that one thing. So they're going and they're buying those same things because they're adding it on to their business, right? So like, when I think of Genstar Automotive, one of the things that I wish they did is they went and bought other companies that were similar to alternators and starters. And then maybe they bought an alternator and starter and this other thing that they do. Like maybe they bought another shop that does oil changes and they get really good at oil changes. And then they roll out oil changes at all of their other businesses, right? A lot of that stuff takes timing and thinking and planning. And that's the reason why I say one of the best things that you can do are meetings are really important when it comes to strategy and insight, like making sure that you're setting time aside every month or every other month, depending on how many people are involved in your company, to really strategize and build out a plan for what you want your business to be doing for the following year and multiple years out. I think is really important. It's just, it's fucking time consuming to get into that type of planning. But again, I encourage you all to do it. And I'm going to end with that. I encourage you all to go build out a long-term plan, dream big on it. If you're going to fucking dream, you might as well dream really fucking big. Go and dream it. Figure out how you're going to do it. If you're going to need to build your own assets, if you're going to need to create a team that's going to build assets, if you're going to bring your family involved to build those assets, or if you're going to go and buy some other business to add it into your business, or another business to diversify the revenue of your business and to learn a new skill set that way. So I hope you gained some insight out of this. Please, if you have any questions, reach out to me at jeremy.quintanilla@ageofradio.org, or reach out to me on Twitter at ageofjeremy. You can also follow me on Instagram at ageofjeremy. And this is, again, an Age of Radio original that we continue to try to make better and better and better, and be the best place for you to learn insights on growing your businesses and investments and personal finance, and learning about some cool podcasting in there. So make sure to go check out Dr. Death, and I will talk to you guys later. Have a great week. Bye. Thank you for listening to The Age of Jeremy. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcatcher. If you can do me a favor, please rate this podcast if your podcatcher allows you to. Talk to you soon.